Annie Carney, let's talk about what's been going on inside the White House. First, let's establish this is a president who tried to change science with a Sharpie when it came to hurricane path prediction. That picture lasts forever. Well, so do today's quotes from the briefing room. And I am guessing there's a certain amount of danger in it. They talked the boss into making an appearance, but it's what he said that's an issue tonight.
That's right. The idea of Trump doing this briefing was to calm a jittery public and a jittery stock market by coming out there the first time we see him after his return from India and really giving a true sense of what people should expect and how people should start to protect themselves against the spread of this virus. Even his allies on Fox and his allies outside the White House were kind of channeling to that proverbial audience of one that this was a great opportunity to look presidential and to tell the facts. The Donald Trump we saw out there in the briefing room was very casual, kind of left the facts to the other people that accompanied him out there. But he clearly, publicly and privately, just wants this problem to go away. He wants to downplay it. Has called people who are talking about fears about it alarmist. He doesn't want to be alarmist, and he's kind of holding on to any comment that makes it sound like this will naturally be a problem that just gets removed from his plate. That's what we saw publicly, and that's what he's been saying privately as well.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.